Hey there, I'm Niv and I like to make games. I'm currently developing a high-speed first-person platformer where you can swing around using black holes, and it's called Singularium. In the last devlog, I showed you guys how I made some levels that force the player to use their movement mechanics. Thing is, those levels were all just white boxes with prototype textures, really nothing to look at. Today, I'll show you how I turned this into this. Before I mention any of the progress that got me to this point, I have something really awesome to announce. Singularium now has a Steam page. If you're interested in the game or think it looks cool, I'd really appreciate it if you could go to the page and add it to your wishlist. It's free and it really helps push games in Steam's algorithm, so please go and do that and then come back. Also, subscribe if you want to see more devlogs. It's free and barely any of you are. Back to the video. Now, I want to make it clear to you guys, I'm not an artist by any means. I can't draw to save my life, and I definitely can't hand draw beautiful textures to apply to my game environments. So naturally, my first instinct was to search for something online. I went to opengameart.org, an amazing site with tons of free game assets. I looked at random obscure texture sites. I even broke down and looked at free textures on the Unity asset store, but as you can see, absolutely nothing worked. Everything looked terrible. But then, I looked on itch.io and found my savior. This, my friends, is TextureLab, a free, open-source tool for procedurally generating textures. As a programmer, this is an absolute godsend. You just have to connect some nodes together and bam, an amazing-looking texture, complete with a normal map to affect how the texture reflects light, and a height map to make it look nice and three-dimensional. I highly recommend this tool to anyone who had trouble with textures like I did. Using TextureLab, I created a texture for an uncanny, futuristic sewer that uses hexagonal bricks instead of rectangular ones. In the game's story, which I won't talk about too much just yet, the player will have to pass through a bunch of these dark futuristic sewers to try to escape. Anyway, this texture looked better, but still, something was missing. It looked too samey. Something was off about it. This was when a fellow game dev YouTuber, Treplicant Studios, gave me the idea to add distance-based fog. And that small trick really made the map come together. This is the final look for the wall textures, and I'm really happy with it. I'll of course populate every level with props and obstacles, but more on that in the next devlog. I also want to have a more cyberpunky look for some of the levels, though basically every other first-person parkour game does that, so it won't be the entire game. I used TextureLab again and came up with this. It's of course heavily inspired by the Tron aesthetic, and I thought it looked really cool, but again, it was missing something. Flying through this environment felt way too homogeneous, and I wanted to add some sort of variety to the wall's glowing effect. I ended up creating a script that interpolated the glow color based on how far the player is from the start of the level. In this level, for example, the color morphs from a nice cool cyan to a really angry purple glow, which I really like. I also wanted to tie this mechanic to speed. This game, after all, is a game about speed running, and I want most of the mechanics in the game to be tied to how fast the player is going. Originally, I wanted to boost the glow effect on the walls according to the player's speed, but I ended up accidentally making it so they don't glow at all when the player isn't moving fast enough. This effect looked really cool, and so I kept it in. I know Singularium's development is quickly becoming, I had a cool bug and so I added it into the game, but I promise these really are complete accidents. Next, I changed up the player's movement a bit. You now gain a ton of speed in the first few seconds of wall running, and then you gradually lose speed. This incentivizes the player to ride a wall for a few seconds and then quickly jump to another one, which is a playstyle that makes you look and feel really awesome, and I want to encourage that. I also made these anime speed lines a bit smaller, as some people said they were too distracting. Finally, I wanted to announce that I'm working with a composer and a producer to create the soundtrack for Singularium, and their work is actually the music you've been hearing in this video, and in the clip you saw in the intro. They're super talented, and if you like the sound of it, you should check out the producer's latest song, which is linked in the description. Well, that's the progress I made on Singularium these past 2 weeks. I want to thank you guys a ton for all the support I've gotten recently. I barely had time to be excited for the 1,000 subscriber milestone before we jumped to 2, then 3, and now 4,000 subscribers. I'm really happy you guys are so interested in the game, and it really is what motivates me to continue. I also love the suggestions you leave in the comments, and I'm working currently on adding some of them, so definitely keep those coming. You can also join my community on Discord, where we talk about the game, you guys can leave suggestions and interact with me, and we'll also eventually hold a public playtest over there. Anyway, subscribe if you want to see more Singularium devlogs, drop a like if you liked the video, and remember to wishlist the game on Steam. Bye!